guys, so I took a little bit of time off just to mentally reset. It's been about a week, back with some new content, and the cool part about it is, too, that in the time that I was away, we got the full Maximum Gold spoiler, we got some reveals from the Ice Barrier deck, and some stuff from Selection Pack 10, so there's a ton to trudge through. We're going to start off today with Selection Pack 10. I've got a deck profile video this week, and some other exclusives, new cards and stuff we're going to take a look at throughout the coming days. Before we jump into that, though, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 3150 by the start of November. By the start of December, I'm sorry. We did hit that goal for November, so I will be announcing a giveaway that will be happening this month. Details on that to come later in the week, but anyone who is subscribed will have a chance to win. So if you haven't already gone ahead and hit that button, please go ahead and do so, as we are trying to get up to 3150 by December. But let's jump into the video. Today we got some cards from Selection Pack 10. The graphic appears to show more archetypes than what was revealed today, but we did see that there could be Shaddoll support, Photon support, Sun Avalon, and a couple of others, but they gave us today Fairy Tail, Hieratic, Time Thief, and Nekroz. So those are the cards we're going to take a look at today, starting with Fairy Tail Raka, I don't know. The art is a thing for certain audiences, but let's take a look at the card itself. When this card is normal summon, you can have your opponent gain 500 life points. Then they look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose one for you to add to your hand, you shuffle the rest into the deck. So, like, it's kind of like a duality. I mean, if all 3 cards on top of the deck are good, then you don't really care, right? At the very least, it's replacing itself. Obviously, your opponent knows what the card is, but depending on what kind of deck you're playing, especially if it's something you want to dig into your combos and such, it's not the worst card I've ever seen, and I think it may do a lot for maybe Charmers or Familiar Possessed, whatever you want to call it, being 1850, being a spellcaster. You get the draw when it's summoned. There's some interesting mechanics there. And then it says, before damage calculation of this card battles, you can send this card to the graveyard. I don't know why you would. There's got to be something I'm missing with some of the other Fairy Tail cards, but I really like it. It's neat. Level 4 light spellcaster. I think it definitely sort of helps that deck, but I think it might just be a better generic card on its own. So that remains to be seen whether or not it gets any kind of significant generic play. Fairy Tail. Good anime. Second card that was announced with this archetype, but also relatively generic. You can reveal a spellcaster with 1850 attack in your hand with a different name from the monsters you currently control. After this effect resolves, normal summon that monster. That is insane, because what that means is you can play this with Charmers and they get a big boost from it, because the whole deck is 1850 attack. So you don't just have to use it in this. You can maybe work out some kind of hybrid, honestly, with this, Fairy Tail Luna. I'm really not sure. It's a little too soon to tell. I haven't had a chance to play around with that enough. I have been playing around with Charmers. The deck comes out soon, but I don't know how this will fit into it. Each turn, the first time you would take battle or effect damage while you control a spellcaster monster with 1850 attack, you do not take that damage. And it says you can only activate one Fairy Tail per turn. Interestingly enough, it is not a hard once per turn, in the sense that if you have 2 copies out, you should be able to utilize that effect twice. So, for example, you play it, you reveal, you normal. Next turn, if you play a second copy, you should be able to use both effects to get 2 extra normals. I don't know how feasible that is, that it would happen, but it is a neat little interaction, and the art is cool. They got all the little Fairy Tail monsters on there. I like it. Again, I don't know that it's going to bring Fairy Tail together. It may work with some of the other spellcasters that have that typing. Alright, this is Nekroz of a Red Bear. I don't fucking know. I'm like 99.9% sure this is modeled off of one of the Dragonity monsters that was announced recently, because I remember having a similar issue mispronouncing that name. Plus, it's got the wings. It looks like a Dragonity. Whatever. You can ritual summon this card with any Nekroz ritual spell. Must be ritual summon without using any level 10 monsters, so obviously you can't like Kaleidoscope a 10 to put it out. That's standard with Nekroz. And it's got 2 effects. You can discard this card, tribute up to 2 Nekroz monsters from your hand and or field. If you do, send the same number of Nekroz cards from your deck to the graveyard. So you can tribute, you know, one's on board, one's in hand, that get search effects when they're tributed, like Dance Princess and Great Sorcerer. You can also mill your ritual spells like Cycle and the other ones that you can then banish to search. So it does set up a lot of interaction. It also sets up like Unicorn plays, like if you need something in hand, you can mill it and the Unicorn can discard himself to add it back. I don't know how feasible that is. That seems like you're doing a lot to do something the deck can probably already do, but it does allow you to mill stuff without having to waste your resources to get access to it. On top of that, when a monster effect is activated, you contribute 1 monster from your hand or field, negate the activation. If you do, banish that card. So that is a hard once per turn, but it does give Nekroz negation, and it's blanket negation for any monster effect. So this is really important. Not to mention that tribute 1 monster from hand or field. If you tribute Cyber Angel Ben 10 or something like that, you can still trigger the effects. So there are ways to utilize it with sort of what Nekroz was already doing and play those strategies into it. Interestingly enough, I don't know if this is the only Nekroz card that's being revealed today, or if there will be more. If there's going to be, like, maybe, say, 2 in the set, or if there's going to be 1. It's just really cool to see that get support. If you have your Secret Rare, Brios, Valks, etc., I think just seeing support for the deck may cause those to spike a little bit. If you don't have them and you pick up the Ultras from Dual Power, could be a good long-term investment. Alright, Hieratic Seal of Creation. I always thought Heretics were really neat archetype. They've had their ups and downs, but I think overall they have a lot to offer. This says, target 1 dragon exceeds monster you control. Special summon from your extra deck 1 Hieratic exceeds monster with a different original name from that monster by using it as material. That's not bad. So if you have Hieratic Dragon of Batum, you've used his effect. You can rank him up into Heliopolis or the new one, which we'll look at in a moment. This is treated as it's a rank up magic basically, but it's searchable by Hieratic cards and it doesn't have the same rank up magic restrictions. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Hieratic monster in your graveyard, special summon in a defense position. You can only use 1 Hieratic Seal of Creation effect per turn and only once that turn. So you can't rank up and special in the same turn. Probably for the best, that would be kind of ridiculous if you could do that, but it seems neat. It's a generically good rank up card, and it can rank up any dragon into a Hieratic. So realistically speaking, you can make like a rank 4 dragon exceeds and then turn it into a Tum and do some combos. Level doesn't seem to matter here. So, interestingly enough, just has to have a different name. Hieratic, Heavenly Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis. This is some badass art for the record. This is 2 level 8 monsters. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control in your graveyard and or your banished cards. You can detach a material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So this blanket kind of protects pretty much everything. They can't call by the Graveyou. They can't, which is not as effective as it was when that was at 3, but it does sort of offer a lot, and it's a generic rank 8, so it's just overall relatively useful as its own card. I don't know that, like, it's enough for Heretics, per se, but I do like it, and Dragons are always going to be happy to have other rank 8s to go into. It gives you more access, especially if you're playing something that's reliant on Banished. That mechanic being added in there is neat in and of itself. Alright, and the last one for this video is Time Thief Double Barrel. 2 level 4 monsters. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach up to 3 different types of material from this card. Apply the following effects depending on what was detached. If it's a monster, it gains 400 attack. If it's a spell, you take control of a face-up monster your opponent controls, but it cannot activate its effects or attack. And if it's a trap, you can negate the effects of 1 effect monster on the field till the end of this turn. So it does a lot. It gives you a lot of Phantom Knight combos with Rusty Bardiche and Shade Brigandine as well, because you basically get a blanket negate for any effect monsters, and it does not target. So your opponent activates a card or effect, you detach, you negate the effects of an effect monster, there's no targeting going on there. That's neat. I don't know how often you're going to get spells on it unless you're playing a pure Time Thief deck, but at least it does give them some additional resources to play with, and I think people will be happy to see Time Thief get support in general. That being said, these are the 6 cards that were announced today. Like I said, guys, I got a ton of content on the way. I want to cover all the new stuff and everything and just getting back into the swing of things. Figured we'd do a video today to talk about it. Let me know what you guys are excited about from this announcement so far. Obviously, like I said, there is Shadal support on the horizon, Photon, and other things, so there will be more to cover, but it looks good so far for Selection Pack 10. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here at Loveshack.